Welcome back to Zarila HOA Stories, where real homeowners take on impossible HOA battles and come out on top. Before we dive into today's unbelievable story, make sure to subscribe, like, and drop your city or country name in the comments. I love seeing where all our listeners are tuning in from, because today's story, oh boy, it's about how an HOA tried to bring the police to a peaceful lakeside cabin and discover they had just picked the wrong homeowner to mess with. It all started on a quiet morning at Silver Pine Lake, where Jake and his golden retriever, Rusty, lived in a beautiful wooden cabin overlooking the water. Jake wasn't the kind of guy who liked conflict. He built his cabin by hand, followed every county permit, and just wanted peace. But peace doesn't last long when your land happens to be inside an HOA's boundary, even if you never signed up for it. One morning, Jake found a bright orange paper nailed to his gate. It read, "Notice of violation. Unauthorized building code breach." He thought it was a joke, but it wasn't. A woman named Karen Simmons, the HOA president, showed up the next day. Clipboard in hand, sunglasses, smile sharp enough to cut glass. She said, "Sir, this cabin isn't up to HOA standards. You'll need to remove the deck and repaint the exterior by next week." Jake blinked. "Ma'am, I'm not part of your HOA. My land was bought before your association even existed." But she just smirked. "We've expanded our jurisdiction, sir. You're under our authority now." Jake calmly replied, "That's not how property law works." But Karen didn't care. And a week later, things got worse. Jake started getting fines in the mail, $500, $1,200, $2,000. Each one claiming violation of HOA color code and unapproved structure. He called, emailed, even met with county officials. And that's when he found out the HOA had forged paperwork trying to annex his property. They thought he wouldn't notice. But Jake wasn't just any homeowner. He was a retired civil engineer who'd built half the town's drainage system. He knew codes better than they did, and he started building a case. One Saturday morning, Jake was sipping his coffee when he saw something shocking. 6 police cars pulling up his driveway, lights flashing, officers stepping out. And right behind them, Karen, the HOA president, with that same clipboard. She yelled, "This is an unauthorized structure. We have a demolition order." Jake stayed calm. "Do you have a warrant?" The officer hesitated. "We're here based on an HOA complaint." Jake walked inside, came back holding a stack of legal documents, and said, "Gentlemen, you might want to read this before making a huge mistake." Jake handed the officer a certified court ruling from months ago, confirming his land was private property outside HOA control. Then came the twist. The HOA had actually been illegally taxing nearby homeowners for years. The officer read the document, looked at Karen, and said, "Ma'am, you're trespassing on private property. Step back." Karen's face turned pale. She tried to argue, but the officers had already called in the county inspector. The inspector confirmed everything. Jake's cabin was 100% legal, up to code, and not under any HOA. Within days, the HOA's so-called demolition order was revoked. Karen was fined by the county for harassment and unauthorized enforcement. And Jake, he became somewhat of a local legend. Neighbors started calling him the man who beat the HOA. He even put up a new sign at his driveway that said, "Private cabin, not HOA property." And every weekend, he'd sit on his porch, sip coffee, and laugh whenever HOA patrols drove by, but never stopped again. So, what do you think? Was Jake right to stand up and fight back? Have you ever had a crazy HOA story like this one? Let me know your thoughts, and drop your country or city name in the comments below. And if you love stories about ordinary people standing up to powerful HOAs, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because we've got more unbelievable stories coming soon here on Zarila HOA Stories.